Okay guys, I know we didn't get to finish this last task right here, step 9, so I recorded this video to post it for you guys can finish the rest of this app. Okay, task 9 is implementing the second fragment. So far you focused on the first screen of your app. Next you will update the random button to display a random number between 0 and the current count on the second screen. What you will learn is how to pass information to the second fragment, update the layout for the second fragment, just like this, and it's going to display a random number with a heading and then a button. The mod D or %D indicates the part of the string that will be replaced with a number. The R is just a placeholder. Step 1, you're going to add a text view for the random number. So go ahead and open Fragment second.xml. Right here in our res layout, Fragment second. Now we're in our XML. Notice that it has a constraint layout that contains a text view and a button. We're going to remove that chain constraint between text view and button. So you'll have a similar screen to this right here. I already did the app, so I'm going back to try and go through it for you guys. But you want to make sure you delete this right here using the control button to delete it, or deleting it in your constraints on the side. So here we are, constraint layout, and you'll be given this text view and a button, 1 and 2. And then you're going to go ahead and delete that constraint, and you can also delete it. You can also delete it right here in the constraint widget from right here. We're going to add another text view from the palette and drop it near the middle of the screen. So you're going to go to this text view button right here, and you're going to drag it out and drop it like where this R is right here. We're going to set the ID to this new text view to text view random. We'll set those constraints to the top text view, the bottom button, and the left and the right of the screen. So you see here I have 4 constraints to the bottom of this text view, the top of this button, left, and right. Notice now that we have this changed to text view random, and make sure you change this as well to text view random right here at the ID for the text view that we added. We're going to set both width and height to wrap content. We're going to set the color to Android color white, set the text to 72SP, and the text style to bold. Now you can do all of that here within our attributes panel. If you scroll down, find text, or we could do it within our XML file. And as you see right here, I have it right here. Android text color equals at Android color / white. We have the text size 72SP and the text style bold. And as you see here, I have it in the XML file. I did the text color to the white, text size 72SP, and text style bold. We're going to set the text to R. This is just a placeholder until the random number is generated. And then we're also going to set the layout constraint vertical bias to 45. This is what the XML code will end up looking like for this new text view we added for the text view random. Notice it has the color white, 72 bold. Here are all of our constraints, and then also our vertical bias. Notice that our text here says R. And as you see, everything is very similar to that. I have it all right here within my text view random. This right here, you can create a string resource like we did earlier by right-clicking and then extract string resource, so you have that within your string file. Update the text view and display the header. In Fragment second.xml, select the text view second, which currently has the text hello second fragment and the hello second fragment string resource. If Android text isn't set it to hello second fragment string resource. So we're going to copy this, and you'll paste it within the first text view that's given to you. Right here at the Android text. You would paste it here. I know mine's is different, but you're going to change it in a second. Change the ID to text view header in the attributes panel. Set the width to match constraint and set the height to wrap content. So as you see here with this first text view, we change the ID to text view header. We set the width here to match constraint, and we put the height to wrap content. We're going to set the top left and right margins to 24 dp. They can also be referred to as start and end. Make sure we remove the bottom constraint, and we're going to set the text color to color primary dark and the text to 24. Okay, so as you see here, there's layout margin start, top, and end, and they're all 24 dp. So we see it here as well. Notice that my text size is 24 SP, as well as our color is primary dark. So if we go to our XML file for this text view, you will see that is all laid out there for you as well. There's the margins, here's our color primary dark, and our text size. We also have to go ahead and go to our strings.xml file and change the hello second fragment to here is a random number between 0 and mod d or %d. Then after we do this, we're going to refactor and rename it from hello second fragment to random heading. As I stated earlier, this one was different from what you pasted the hello second fragment, but you're going to see how we're going to change that right now. So if we go over to our strings XML, this right here will be labeled hello second fragment for you. Go ahead and delete that and put in random heading. And then we also want to add in between here the text. Here is a random number between 0 and mod d or %d. After you do this, you're going to click refactor and you're going to rename. That way it'll be renamed to random heading. Step 3, we're going to change the background color of our layout. We're going to open our colors.xml file and add this color resource. Go ahead and copy this. Here's colors. And you're going to paste that right at the bottom here. Now we want to go back to Fragment second, and we're going to set the constraint layout background to this color that we just added. Okay, so here's Fragment second, and you can see here, the top here, constraint layout. I added Android background to go ahead and grab the color from our screen background tool, which we just added. Notice if we run the app, your random button isn't working yet. So this is how we do that. In step 4 here, we're going to examine the navigation graph. So when we created this basic activity, Android Studio is going to create a new project that sets up 2 fragments for us and a navigation graph to connect the two. It also sets up a button to send a string argument from the first fragment to the second fragment. This button is the one you change to become the random button. And now you want to send a number instead of a string. So to change all of this and make it the way we need it, we're going to have to open the navgraph.xml file. So if you go to your app, res, notice here that we have one that is labeled navigation. And I'll close these for you, make it a little easier. We're going to click that nav graph, and it should pop into something that looks similar to this. You can freely move the elements within the navigation editor, and this just shows here that you can grab these and change them around. So you see here that this is first fragment, second fragment. I believe it starts with the second fragment here. All you have to do is just pick it up and drag it to the other side. Make sure you orientate everything on your nav graph right here so that it's looking similar to this right here. Step 5, we need to enable the safe Args. What this plugin does allows us to send information from one screen to the other. So go ahead and we're going to open the Gradle scripts, build.gradle, my project first app. Down here's the Gradle. Right after the res, you see Gradle scripts. Project my first app. We're going to copy this right into the dependencies section of the build script section. So copy this. And you see there says right here, right under repositories, there's a dependencies inside there, and then you paste it in here. So you want to make sure that this completely looks just like this. This whole build script looks like just like this. Also, you want to go ahead and add this plugin right here, and this is going to be within the module app section of the Gradle. So right here, module app, double click that, and you're going to paste that right at the top, right under the other plugin that's already included within this Android Studio app. Okay, step 5, there should be a message that displays that the Gradle has been changed. You're going to click sync now. So after that syncs, click here and then do a make project so that it can go ahead and rebuild it with the new plugin that we added. Step 6, we're going to create the argument for the navigation action. In the navigation graph, you're going to click on the first fragment and look at the attributes panel and notice that within the actions section, it will show an action for first fragment to go to second fragment. Okay, so we're back at nav graph here. And if I click first fragment, there's an action here as we see, and it's saying here's an action from first fragment to second fragment. And that's basically pointing to this thing right here, this arrow. Let's click on second fragment and look at the attributes panel. The argument section shows nothing to show. We can click the add button to add this argument, and we're going to add an argument, enter my args, and set the type to integer and click add button. You might have something here that says my arg string, and if you do, all you have to do is double click that right here named my args, and then go ahead and click that type. Even if it was string, go ahead and change it to integer and click update. Otherwise, just add one using this button and make sure it says my args integer. Okay, so now we're going to go to step 7, send the count to the second fragment. The next /random button was set up by Android Studio to go from the first fragment to the second, but it doesn't send any information. In this step, you will change it to send a number for the current count. You will get the current count from the text view that displays it and pass that to the second fragment. Let's go ahead and open the first fragment.java and then check out the method for onViewCreated. We're going to replace some code that we had here already. So the app folder here is open, and we see we have our Java folder, and then we're going to make sure that we're in this section here, com.example.myfirstapp, and click that first fragment, and now we're within our code. The code here that I have commented out was the code that was there before. You want to go ahead and comment that out, or you could delete it. I did it so I can show you guys and you can see something that is recognizable to what you have currently. What you're going to replace in there is going to be a number 3. This is going to replace the code in that click listener with a line to find the count view. So we're going to add this here, and it's going to replace the code in that the click listener with a line to find the count text view first. We're also going to add this here. This is going to create an action with a current count as the argument to action first fragment to second fragment. And then we're going to add this line here to find the nav controller and navigate with the action that we just created. So if you go down to this here, this will have everything all together. 1, 2, 3. You can use this scroll to make sure you have everything. Copy that. And you will paste it right in here. All of this right here is exactly what is inside the tutorial. Now, if you run your app at this point, you know that it counts, but then the random button still isn't showing correctly, so we have to update that. Step 8. We're going to update the second fragment to compute and display a random number. You have written a code to send the current count to the second fragment. Next step is to add code to the second fragment.java. So in the second fragment.java, we're going to add this import to the top. Copy that. We're going to open our second fragment code. And you're going to paste that within here. You may or may not need to add this, but this is where you're going to paste it if you need it. In the onViewCreated method below the line that starts with super, we're going to add this code to get the current count, get the string and format it with the count, and then set it for the text view header. So this is going to set all the information that we need for the text view header in our second fragment.java. And you will paste that all right under the super as it stated. Right here. Then we're going to get a random number between 0 and the count. Copy this. Paste that right here. Add code to convert that number into a string and set it as the text for the text view random. Lastly, we're going to copy this right here. And we paste that right at the bottom here. So your code should look very similar to mine, just like that. Okay. Now let's run the app. Okay, it says it installed successfully. Here it is. Okay, we checked our toast. It's still working. Good. Let's go ahead and count all the way to 15. Here is a random number between 0 and 15. 9. That is correct. Let's try 20. Here's a random number between 0 and 20. 18. That is correct. Let's try 5. Here's a random number between 0 and 5, 2. So as you see, our app's working just the way we need it to. So there we go. That makes us happy. And as it states here, congratulations, you have built your very first Android app. All right, guys, thank you guys for joining me when we did this live on April 4th for you DSE members. Hopefully you guys can finish this app with this video. For anyone else who isn't part of this group and you watched this video, hopefully you got something out of it and learned something. If you have any comments or questions, please post below, and we'll see you next time.